Good morning, children. This is part 2 of our chapter number 6, the three orders. Let us begin this part. Relation between the church and the society. Christianity entered Europe and influenced most of the people, but they did not forget old beliefs in magic and folk traditions. Christmas and Easter became important dates from the 4th century. They replaced the old pre-Roman festival as which were based on solar calendar. The Easter day marked the crucifixion of Christ and his rebirth from the dead, and it was celebrated on the replaced date of old festival based on lunar calendar. On coming of spring, people used to travel around the village lands on that day. Holiday or holidays were welcomed by overworked peasants as free days. They usually spent more time in fun and feasting rather than prayer. The second order, the nobility. Priests placed themselves in the first order and nobles in the second. The nobility had, in reality, a central role in social processes. This is because they controlled the land. This control was the outcome of a practice which was called as vassalage. Now, what was a vassalage? The kings of France were linked to the people by vassalage, similar to the practice among the Germanic peoples of whom the Franks were one. The big landowners, the nobles, were vassals of the king, and peasants were vassals of the landowners. The noble. The noble enjoyed a privileged status. He had absolute control over his property in perpetuity. He could raise the troops called feudal levies. The lord held his own courts of justice and could even coin his own money. He was the lord of all the people settled on his land. He owned vast tracts of land which contained his own dwellings, his private fields and pastures, and the homes and fields of his tenant peasants. His house was called a manor. His private lands were cultivated by peasants who were also expected to act as foot soldiers in battle when required, in addition to working on their own farms. The manorial estate. A lord had his own manor house. He also controlled the villages. Some lords controlled hundreds of villages where the peasants lived. A small manorial estate could contain a dozen families, while larger estates might include 50 or 60 families. Almost everything needed for daily life was found on the estate. That is, grain was grown in the fields. Blacksmiths and carpenters maintained the lord's implements and repaired his weapons, while stonemasons looked after his buildings. Who is his here? His is the Lord. Women spun and wove the fabric, and children worked in the Lord's wine presses. The estate had extensive woodlands and forests where the lords hunted. They contained the pastures where his cattle and his horses grazed. There was a church on the estate, and a castle for defense was also there. The knights. From the ninth century, there were frequent localized wars in Europe. The amateur peasant soldiers were not sufficient, and good cavalry was needed. This led to the growing importance of a new section of people, and they were called as the knights. They were linked to the lords just as the lords were linked to the king, or the latter were linked to the king. That is, it was a chain. The lord gave the knight a piece of land which was called as a fief and promised to protect it. The fief could be inherited. It extended to anything between 1,000 and 2,000 acres or more, including a house for the knight and his family, a church, and other establishments to house his dependents. Besides, a watermill was also there, and a wine press was also found there. As in the feudal manor, the land of the fief was cultivated by peasants. In exchange, the knight paid his lord a regular fee and promised to fight for him in war. A knight might serve more than one lord children, but his foremost loyalty was to his own lord. Minstrels. In France, from the 12th century, minstrels traveled from manor to manor, singing songs which told stories, partly historical, partly invented. These stories were about the brave kings and the knights. In an age when not too many people could read and manuscripts were also few, these traveling bards were very popular. Many manors had a narrow balcony above the large hall where the people of the manor gathered for meals. This was the minstrels' gallery, from where singers entertained nobles while they feasted. The third order now, let us discuss the third order children, peasants, free and unfree. Peasants, the vast majority of people, namely those who sustained the first two orders, they were called as the peasants. They were in majority. Cultivators were of two kinds, free peasants and serfs. From the verb to serve, that means serfs has come from the verb to serve. Meaning of serfs is those people who serve. Free peasants held their farms as tenants of the Lord. The men had to render military service at least 40 days every year. Peasant families had to set aside certain days of the week, usually three, but often more when they would go to the Lord's estate and work there. In addition, they could be required to do other unpaid labor services like digging ditches, gathering firewood, building fences, and repairing roads and repairing buildings. Besides helping in the fields, women and children had to do other tasks also, like spinning of thread, weaving cloth, candle making, and they also pressed the grapes to prepare wine for the Lord's use. There was one direct tax which was called as tail. In case of tithe, we read that it was a tax which was paid as one tenth of the amount, one tenth of the produce, and it came to the church. Now we are talking about a direct tax which was called as tail. That king sometimes imposed on peasants, the clergy and the nobles were exempted from paying this tax, which was the tail, which was a direct tax also. The serfs. Serfs cultivated plots of land, but these belonged to the Lord. Much of the produce from this had to be given to the Lord. They also had to work on the land which belonged exclusively to the Lord. They received no wages and could not leave the estate without the Lord's permission. The Lord claimed a number of monopolies at the expense of his serfs. Serfs could use only their Lord's mill to grind their flour, his oven to bake their bread, and his wine presses to distill wine and beer. The Lord could decide whom a serf should marry, or might give his blessing to the serf's choice, but on payment of a fee. Now, children, with this I end my second part of the chapter, the three orders. Meet you again with the next part related to the chapter. Thank you, children.